بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I want to introduce a book to you, a different print of a book that we've introduced before and read from before. One of the most important books for the way of disciplism and for the culture of the study of hadith. And this is none other than جامع الترمذي مع شرحه تحفة الأحوذي المقدمة. جامع الترمذي, and one of its most important explanations and commentaries, which was تحفة الأحوذي of Sheikh al-Mubarak Furi rahimahullah ta'ala, and we can see on the back as well. This here is the Muqaddimah. Of course, there's several volumes of Tuhfat al-Ahwadhi, an explanation of Tirmidhi's magnificent work, Al-Jami' or Al-Jami' al-Sahih, and some call it As-Sunan. See a very nice print, alhamdulillah. And first and foremost, we have, what language is that, huh? What language is that, Zakaria? Down at the bottom. What you think, Mukhtar? Urdu. You sure? Pretty sure. Right. Why is Urdu in an Arabic book? Because of the author. Maybe that was the mother tongue of his people. But what does that do with an Arabic book, though? To broaden their understanding. Allahu Akbar. Tahib. Okay. Khairan, inshallah. So, we're not here to talk about the sharh of the Tirmidhi. We've read from it before. But this is the Muqaddimah, which is very, very important. The author, rahimahullah, he says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Al-Bab al-Awwal, فيما يتعلق بعلم الحديث وكتبه وأهله عموما وفيه. He says here, the first chapter pertains to علم الحديث, hadith science, وكتبه, and its books, its authored works, its literature that's available. He says وأهله, and its people, أهل الحديث, the ulama of hadith, the tulab of hadith, عموما, in general. وفيه أحد وأربعون فصلا, and it says here there are 41 subchapters in this introduction. 41 subchapters. He says الفصل الأول في حد علم الحديث وموضوعه وغايته. Chapter or subchapter number 1 is the definition of علم الحديث. What's meant by hadith science or the science of hadith? What's meant by that? What does it include? What does it encompass? He says وغايته. What's the destination? What's the purpose of you studying it, memorizing it, listening to it, going overseas? What is the fruit? What is your final goal that you want out of it? What's the end game of ilm al-hadith? Then after that, al-fasl al-thani fi fadilati ilm al-hadithi wa ahlihi. He says the superiority and the excellence of ilm al-hadith and its people. The best science, the greatest scholars, the top of the top shelf, top tier in al-Islam is ilm al-hadith. He says, اعلم أن أنف العلوم الشرعية ومفتاحها ومشكاة الأدلة السمعية ومصباحها وعمدة المناهج اليقينية ورأسها ومبنى شرائع الإسلام وأساسها ومستند الروايات الفقهية كلها ومأخذ الفنون الدينية. He says here, starting off talking about the superiority of ilm al-hadith, how it's the foundation of Islam, the proofs and the evidences, the sciences, the yaqeen, the adab, the akhlaq, the Prophet ﷺ's medicine, the tafsir, and the list goes on. All of that is found where? In ilm al-hadith. Ilm al-hadith. So he speaks on this for several pages, talking about the fada'il, the excellent merits of Ahl al-hadith, and studying it. And the reason why we're reading, then we mentioned some poetry, several lines of shi'r, proving this point as well. And it's very important for a student of knowledge to read this introduction and always to remind him or herself what's the purpose of it, why, how. And when you become tired or exhausted or frustrated, or you feel that you're outnumbered, you feel that there's a sense of despair and lack of hope, or you feel like a vast minority studying this science, you go back to these books and you revive and rejuvenate, and you realize why and how you fell in love with this science the years ago in which you did. And how much have you given of your time, of your energy, of your effort, of your talent, your ability to this ilm. And why it is so important to have mastery of this ilm, and why the enemies of Islam, internal and external, domestic and foreign, have attacked it the greatest. And in 2020, because you may say, what is an ancient book? This is hundreds of years ago. Half Arabic, this part in Urdu. What does that have to do with 2020 and our modern technological age? One of the easiest ways of undoing Islam, waliyadhu billah, is to leave its understanding and to leave its interpretation and to leave its acceptance to the whims of the people. And the first stop for that is the Quran. If we can open up the door that the Quran is for anyone's interpretation and anyone's understanding, and what it means and what it doesn't mean, and it needs to be reinvestigated. In 2020, the verse can mean something else. And of course, the war is over. And that starts off with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Sunnah which explains the Quran, elucidates the Quran, physically gives you what's meant by this verse, why it was sent down, and what it includes. As Allah tells us in the Quran, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَن نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. And we have sent down to you the dhikr, O Muhammad, for you to لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, to explain to the people what has been sent down to them, and for those people to think and for those people to reflect. So the concept of taking the Quran away from the Sunnah, isolating the two, that's step number one. That's step number one. Once they can successfully do that, everything else is relatively easy with regards to what? The Quran. And we said enemies to Islam, foreign and domestic. Those who say that they're Muslims and those who do not say that they're Muslims. Al-Fasl al-Thalith, chapter 3, فيما يتعلق بتدوين الحديث. اعلم علمني الله وإياك أن آثار النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لم تكن في عصر النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام وعصر أصحابه. What he says here, talking about the compilation of Ilm Hadith, it's history, how the books came together. Were the hadiths written down in the time of the Prophet or 250 years afterwards? Did the Prophet ﷺ tell the people not to write down hadiths and only write down the Quran? Is that authentic? Where does that come from? He explains all of that. Al-Fasl al-Rabi' فيما يتعلق بكتابة الحديث. قد ظن بعض الجهلة في هذا الزمان أن الأحاديث النبوية لم تكن مكتوبة في عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا في عهد الصحابة رضي الله عنهم، وإنما كتبت وجمعت في عهد التابعين. قلت ظن بعض الجهلة هذا فاسد مبني على عدم وقوفه على حقيقة الحال، فاعلم أن الأحاديث النبوية قد كانت تكتب على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى عهد الصحابة رضي الله عنهم أيضا، ويدل على ما قلنا أحاديث كثيرة منها فذكر. He talks about how hadiths were written down and how many people they have the fallacy and the misunderstanding that hadiths weren't written down in the time of the Prophet or the time of the Sahaba, but many years later. And he rebukes that claim, he refutes that, and he calls the people who will adopt that claim to be jahala, to be people lacking knowledge and have severe ignorance. Al-Fasl al-Khamis في إثبات حجية الأحاديث النبوية ووجوب العمل بها. Chapter 5, he talks about affirming the legality, the legal force of hadiths, and that it's obligatory to act upon them. You can't pick and choose and say that I'll just take the Quran or I'll just take what this Imam says. It doesn't work like that. Moving forward, الفصل السادس في أن حملة العلم في الإسلام أكثرهم العجم. 6th chapter, he says that most of the great scholars of Islam were non-Arabs. Most of the great scholars, especially of Hadith, they weren't of Arabian or Arabian ancestry. وذلك أن من الغريب الواقع لأن علماء الملة الإسلامية في العلوم الشرعية والعقلية أكثرهم العجم إلا في القليل النادر، وإن كان منهم العربي في نسبته فأعجمي في لغته والسبب في ذلك أن الملة. He says, and this is very strange. This is a phenomenon if you think about it. For a religion to be based off of a language and a culture of a people, and the greatest scholars, or the majority of them, weren't from that language or that culture. That's gharib. But it is the what? It is the reality. It's a phenomenon. He says here, some of these scholars, even if their ascription was Arabi, their language, where they came from, was non-Arab. And this is very important for us in 2020 with regards to people who suffer from racial inferiority and also people who suffer from racial superiority. You'll find both extremes. You'll find a young man, wherever he comes from, whether he's black or white or from the Caribbean, he has the talent, he has the ability to do something, he has the ability to memorize, to learn Arabic, to go far. But he feels and he thinks and he says to himself or even to others that I can't go but so far because I'm not Arab, because I'm not from Egypt, I'm not from Palestine, I'm not from Saudi. The Arabs have an advantage. The Arabs. I'm not Moroccan, I'm not. You'll find this. And that will hinder that person's growth and the talent that the person has. And then you find another person who comes from the Middle East or North Africa or another part of the world that's dominated by Arab people, quote unquote, because that's a long discussion. Who is and who isn't an Arab? What is an Arab? And the three types of the Arab. That's a scientific debate in itself. But two who are Arab, quote unquote, right? So you'll find someone, they'll say to a brother in a gas station, or they'll say to a brother in an airport or in a meat store, you're minding your business, pumping gas, trying to buy some lamb chops for dinner, and they'll say to you, oh, you think you're better than me. You think that you know everything. You think that you're pious. Islam came from us. My grandfather is the one who taught you how to dress like this. You'll never be as good as us. Islam has come from my family, so on and so forth. And you find a person having no signs of Islam upon them. Not a beard, not a trimmed mustache, not a pants above the ankles, not a sajda mark, no salah, selling khamr, selling pork, and the list goes on. And taking pride in his ancestry and degrading you and downing you and demeaning you and telling you that you're nothing just because of where you come from. So a person feels entitled and superior because they're Arab. And another person feels inferior and he can't get any virtue or nobility because he's Arab. And that's a huge, huge problem in the masjids worldwide. And scholarship and scholastics, unfortunately, aren't free from this. You'll find certain councils, certain websites, certain organizations. You'll find the cluster and the main is just what? Just Arabs. Other scholars, other learning people from that country, they won't be welcomed. They won't be included. Whether it's outward and blatant or whether it's what? You'll find it very subtle. And you find certain Muslims, they've started to think about this. Certain conferences, you see them including other people. Now we got to put a woman on a flyer. Now we got to put this black inspirational brother or this Hispanic brother. And they realize that it doesn't look good. In which all of these people, the speakers, the main people are what? Are from one background. It just doesn't look good in 2020 if you're claiming to be a modern, progressive, liberal, balanced, tolerant, Abrahamic faith Muslim. It doesn't look good. Everyone understand this? It doesn't what? It doesn't look good. And there are many lawsuits that are made against different companies and firms because they don't have racial diversity. Everyone understand this? Even if it's the people who came to my firm were all white. What sin is that? I can't help that these are the people that I hired, but they still sue them. And they say there are other people who have degrees and have qualifications. Why haven't you hired them? It's a reality. Everyone understand this? Or you'll find other masjids or organizations. They will include other people from other races, but they'll give them very menial tasks. They'll be the side show. And the ilm, the scholastics, is only by what? Arab doctor or Arab mufti. Oh, you can do a little talk here, or we'll give you this little question about this thing, but the serious stuff, only an Arab person. So when you read these chapters, it breaks and it smashes all of these misconceptions that I'm inferior or I'm what? Superior. And there are other genres and other fields. Alhamdulillah, this exists as well. But we're talking about ilm al-hadith, our agenda. And you find that it just doesn't work like that. So never scorn yourself. And never think that you're better than someone if you don't work hard. Or you don't have the natural talent. Okay? And many of the great tabi'een, many of those who came after the tabi'een, many of them were mawali. They were freed slaves. and their fathers or grandfathers were freed slaves, and they belonged to tribes. Just like you have the last name Jennings or Johnson or Robinson, they had Kushairi and this Nispa and that Nispa because they were freed. Mothers were captives, their fathers were captives, and the list goes on. And that did not stop them from becoming what? Ilm hadith, ulama of hadith. But the shaitan plays a game on you. You say, oh, I don't want to be like an Arab, or I don't want to talk like an Arab, or I don't want to dress like an Arab, or I despise them, I hate them. What do you hate them so much for? What did they do to you? Everyone understand this? If you believe in al-Islam and what it is, you have to know whether I like them or not, I have to get a mastery. Not a small grasp, but a mastery of their language and their culture to become a great scholar. And if you don't come to that realization, you're not being honest with yourself. And you find many people who despise Arabs, they despise Arab cultures, but the smart ones from among them, they know they have to get those two things. And if you don't believe me, just look at the different people. You find a guy, suit and tie, right or wrong, suit and tie. I don't want to like an Arab, but speak to him in Arabic, he knows. And he knows what hand to shake and what to do over a person's house and a guest. He knows when to go overseas, how to collect money, comes back with millions of dollars because he knows there's no way of getting to that point without their language and their what? Their culture. Even though he what? He hates it. And he doesn't associate himself with it. Suit and a tie, shaven face. He'll say, I'm this, I'm from Europe, I'm from this country, I'm not Arab. But he knows that's where Allah put it. Everybody understand this? So inferiority at one extreme, and what? Superiority is another extreme. Both of these things, inshallah ta'ala, will be done away with when you read what? Books like this. Al-Fasl al-Sabi' fi shuyu'i ilm al-hadithi fi ard al-Hind. He then talks about in the 7th chapter how ilm al-hadith became extremely popular and grew into wide circulation in India. Like we just said. We're understand this? In India. Moving forward. Al-Fasl al-Thamin. الناس في تصانيفهم التي جمعوها مختلف الأغراض فمنهم من قصر همته على تدوين الحديث مطلقا للحفظ. طيب, and he talks about in the 8th chapter how people have different objectives and goals from writing books on hadith. الفصل التاسع في بيان طبقات كتب الحديث, the different levels of hadith books. They aren't on the same what? They are on the same level. They're different levels. And look at this. This is all what? Huh? And now we have a new language now. What's that? Arabic or Urdu?
It's Arabic.
It's Arabic, you say. طيب, okay. خيرا inshallah. He says it's Arabic. Moving forward. الفصل العاشر في ذكر أنواع الكتب المصنفة في علم الحديث, and the list goes on. So 41 different what? Chapters about all types of interesting, mind-boggling, spine-tingling things for a disciple of hadith. If you don't have this print, if you have another print, that's fine. Al-Muhim, Tuhfat al-Ahwadhi, read the Muqaddimah. Whether it's in 1 volume or in 2 volumes, it's something that's a must read for any disciple of hadith. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
If Allah forgives you, will people be able to take your deeds from you on the day of judgment? Also, is there a dua you can read to prevent this?
Repeat the question.
This was NH Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum mufti. If Allah forgives you, will people be able to take your deeds from you on the day of judgment? Also, is there a dua you can read to prevent this?
If Allah forgives you, will the people be able to take your good deeds from you on the day of judgment? And is there a dua that you can make to prevent this? The scholars of Islam say, Ad-dawawinu thalatha. There are 3 registers. 3 registers. There's a diwanun, which is specific to Allah's rights. There's a register specific to haqqun nafs. And there's a register specific to haqqun nas. So Allah's exclusive right is tawheed. And anything besides shirk akbar, Allah will forgive. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. As far as the ma'asi, the sins, and the mutiny that a person makes against himself, not a question. Allah is Ghafurur Rahim, inshallah. As far as murder, thievery, backbiting, slander, character assassination, so on and so on and so on and so forth, then that's something which Allah will not forgive. And there has to be retribution on the day of judgment. If a person, he has to receive his haqq. Whether you go to hell, Allah protects you from hell, good deeds are taken from you, whether you're held up at Jannah, but there has to be the right of the servant, or even an animal, as the Prophet ﷺ says, لَتُؤَدُّنَ الْحُقُوقَ. You will establish the proofs. before the day of judgment, until so much that that a horned goat will have to pay back to a what? A hornless goat. Ram, sheep, lamb, etc. The terms. One animal gored or poked the what? The other one. So just think about that. Human beings, you smack somebody, pistol whip somebody, slander somebody, call someone a sinner, an innovator, a this, a that, a zany, a keva, a keva, a keva, a keva. The stuff we do with our tongues. We slander people, call people racial slurs, make a joke about someone's background, and so on and so forth. Two animals that are in a pen. One had horns and what? Butted the other. Huh? Think about human beings who butt each other with their tongues. You're this, and you're such and such, and you're such and such, and you're such and such, you're such and such. Just think about that hadith now. All right? So that is something that has to be. Even if Allah forgives you, they have to get their haqq. However, from the conditions of tawbah that pertain to the rights of a human being is that you free yourself from the madhalim. You have to free yourself from the wrong. So if the person is alive, apologize to him. I'm sorry, I called you fat, ugly, and stupid. Forgive me. I'm sorry, I called you a blackie, a darkie. I called you a this. I called you a that. I'm sorry. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be rough and tough, but what? It's better than what? On a day of judgment. And if you can't say it to the person verbally, send them a text message or email. I'm sorry for calling you an innovator. I'm sorry for calling you a deviant. I never read or heard anything that you said that was a deviant statement, but I was blind following what? The brothers. The noble brothers. They told me that you were deviant and I what? I followed them. Apologize while you can. If you stole someone's property, give them back their what? The property. You can't find them, give it to the relatives. You can't find the relatives, give it in sadaqah on their behalf. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
What is fiqh?
What is fiqh? Clear. Fiqh is the greatest gift that you can receive as a young man. That's what it is. Next question. Did I lie? Sheikh Khan? Is that simple? That's the greatest gift that you can receive. How old are you? 14? 15 now, mashallah. That's the greatest gift that you can get as a young man. Money, gold, silver, college degree, scholarship to Harvard, Yale, this one, that one. Fiqh is the greatest gift that you can have being 15. Next question. We'll come back to you, inshallah.
Initial MR, Lodi, California. Assalamu alaikum. Mufti, I've missed you. I hope you're well. Can you please tell me about the verse in Surah Taha when Musa tells Allah that he rushed to him?
A question is from where? Lodi, California. We miss you too. May Allah bless you. And may Allah keep you upon the path and keep us upon the path. Allahumma ameen. And Surah Taha is one of the surahs in which Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in great detail. In great detail. Musa is mentioned the most in the Quran. The most abundantly mentioned prophet in the Quran al-Kareem. And Allah talks about his story from the Surah Al-Baqarah all the way to Hal Ataka Hadithu Musa and Surah Al-Naziyat. From the first juz to the 30th juz. Surah Taha gives us many features, many things about Musa alayhi salam, and from that was his interaction with his brother Harun alayhi salam, Bani Israel, their struggles, what they went through, how they deviated, how they innovated, so on and so forth. And how Musa alayhi salam became very mad and angry at what they had done, what Harun alayhi salam had allowed them to do. Harun was no doubt about that, is Nabi, Kareem. What happened, the story, the details of that. Everyone understand this? And how Musa alayhi salam was very connected to Allah, and he became angry and affected, he became angry at many things that were done. Picking up the scrolls, grabbing his brother, so on and so forth. That's what's meant by that in that story. The details of it we can't give because that's a big chunk of the what? Of the surah. Wallahu alam. Is it okay to use an emoji? Allahu alam. I can't say that's haram. Yani, is it a living thing? Is there a person that has a yellow face? That's one thing, okay? As far as emojis of humans or actual living creatures, Allah surely knows best. Avoid it if you have any doubt. Stay away from it if you feel that it's taswir or pertaining to making a living life form, imitating Allah's creation. Stay away from it. To say that it's haram, Allahu alam.
Issues OS Kushiko Illinois. When memorizing Arabic vocabulary, how does one ensure that they are getting the correct classical definitions and meanings? Can you recommend any specific dictionaries or resources for classic?
Tight. You have to trust your teacher. You gotta trust your teacher. You have to empty your cup, and you have to, at one point in time, blindly follow your teacher. There's a difference between someone that you listen to, someone that you enjoy their classes, versus your actual ustad, muallim, sensei, senpai, what the person who you sit in front of, and they actually what? Teach you. You have to trust them. So if they tell you this is the meaning of the word, then what? That's what you go with. As you keep studying and you get stronger, then of course you go back to the different Arabic dictionaries, the lexicons, whether it's handswear or moded or tullab, things like this. Wallahu alam. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Mr. M. Island, UK. Is it correct to say that ijma' is stronger dalil than Quran or Sahih Hadith because they have different interpretations?
Questions from where?
London.
Questions from London. Can you say that al-ijma' is a stronger dalil than the Quran and the Sunnah because they have different interpretations? Some scholars have said this. قَدْ قِيلَ هَذَا. Some scholars have said this. And they said that in ayah, the scholars can differ over what it means. Was it abrogated? Okay. Was it canceled? Was it specific to a person or a place? This verse came down speaking about the Jews. This verse came down speaking about the Christians. This verse was talking about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And that's it. So the scholars do differ on that. This hadith is weak. This hadith is authentic. This hadith, etc. But consensus, all of the fuqaha, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmed, kulluhum, all of them said it's obligatory to do this and to do that. So one way, one angle is that you can say that. And another angle, we say no, there's nothing stronger than the what? Quran, and stronger than the hadith. So it depends on what you mean by that statement. Wallahu alam. Of course, be careful in quoting al-ijma'. Just because ijma', some say that it's stronger, people can also have discrepancies concerning ijma'. And they say that ijma' is not authentic here. The ijma' la yasih. Everyone else says, lam tathbut hikayatuhu, etc. Wallahu alam. So ijma' is not just a utopia. Don't think that it's just sweet and simple. There are people who make mistakes concerning ijma'. There are people who may lie. There are people who may have or not as a thorough understanding of ijma'. That these ulama are excluded from ijma'. Fulan here is shudud. This tabi'i said it's obligatory to make this dua after the tashahhud. That's shudud. Alright? And there's ijma' that it's not obligatory. But Shafi'i rahimahullah is the only scholar who held a view on something. They say what? Khilaf. It doesn't work like that. Shafi'i, why does he become greater than Tawus or Hassan Basri or Ibn Hazm? Doesn't work like that. So there are issues with ijma' as well. Wallahu alam.
Initials F8 East Flanders, Belgium. Should the sides of the mustache, which do not cover the mouth, also be trimmed?
Should the sides of the mustache, which do not cover the mouth, also be trimmed? Anything that's considered mustache should be trimmed. Whatever's a part of the mustache should be what? Trimmed. Wallahu alam.
Initials AB, Brooklyn, New York. Assalamu alaikum. Barakallahu feek. Is pointing with one finger from the sunnah when saying the shahada?
Is pointing the finger when making the shahada, is that from the sunnah? I would say, in my humble opinion, yes and no. The yes part is based off of the tashahhud. You make the tashahhud. Okay, that's an asl to that. As far as the direct hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he would point with his finger. He would take a picture like this. Obviously, you know pictures in the time of the Prophet ﷺ with a photograph, but you get the point I'm trying to make, like many people do. Is that specifically proven? I can't say that. Is it an innovation? Haram? I won't say that as well. Wallahu alam.
Initials AA, Miami, Florida. May Allah bless you, Sheikh. What are some factors that may be the cause of losing interest in learning about the deen?
Factors that may what?
Be the cause of losing interest about the deen.
Sins, without a question. Wa alaikum salam to Allah. Sins, bad company, seal upon one's heart. Waliyadhu billah. But Allah does not take a gift away from a servant without a reason. There's a reason why. Allah gives a gift to a servant, and the greatest gift, as I said, is fiqh, ilm, knowledge of the deen, and the desire for it. Allah is too kind and too merciful to just take it away from a person and to snatch it away from a servant, unless it's something that servant did that did not cherish the gift. They did not cherish the gift. Wallahu a'lam.
This is M.I. Birmingham, UK. Assalamu alaikum. If the first child passes away, should the father's/mother's title change to the next child in line? For example, Abu Ahmed to Abu Mary.
First child dies, should the kunya switch to the second child? Not necessarily, no. Abdullah was my oldest son, he died. Next in line is Abdurrahman. I can still call myself Abu Abdullah. You don't have to change your kunya just because the person isn't living, because a kunya can be a kunya without you actually having a child. Child could be a kunya, could be the youngest child, middle child. It doesn't have to be the oldest male, it could be the oldest female, etc. Wallahu alam.
Initials M.I. in the UK. Can a Muslim convert stay with her husband who is non-Muslim? Is there a difference of opinion?
Can a Muslim convert stay with her husband who is a non-Muslim? If you have the knowledge of this ruling, and you have the strength and the iman, then you have to remove yourself from this man. As far as if you're too weak, if you're afraid, if you're scared, if you're connected to him, but you do believe in Islam, you have become a Muslim, then it's better to be a sinful Muslim than a pious non-Muslim. It's best to be in a haram relationship, an invalid relationship, than continue to be upon disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's very simple. Any new revert to Al-Islam, they come to Al-Islam. I have a girlfriend. I have a husband who's like this. I have a haram business. I have this, whatever. I smoke weed. I drink, whatever the case may be. Leave it off. أُدْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَةً وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Enter the religion wholeheartedly and follow not the footsteps of Satan. That's what the Quran mandates. But it's best for you to take progressive steps and still have the iman, and still pray, and still acknowledge yourself as a Muslim, than to say, I'll wait till I'll stop smoking until I get divorced to become a Muslim. And Allah knows best.
Initials W.K. Stockton, California. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Any advice for a student trying to practice going back to college?
A student who's trying to practice going back to college, you have to have good company in and out of the college. You have to have downtime. You have to have a good social life with Muslims. Go out to the coffee shop or go shopping or play basketball or whatever you do that's positive downtime with good Muslims. Very, very important. Have recreation, to have time in which you hang out with the brothers or the sisters, boy or girl, and they're good Muslims. Not perfect Muslims, but good Muslims. Friendship is everything in life, let alone in college. You'll be shy, you'll be ashamed, you'll be embarrassed to do certain sins because of your friends. You'll be inspired, you'll be pushed and motivated to do good deeds just because of the company that you keep. All right? And we all know that the إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُ الذِّئْبُ مِنَ الْغَنَمِ الْقَاسِيَةِ, that the only sheep that's picked off by the wolf is the what? It's the lone sheep. Stay with the pack. Stay with the pack, huh? Wallahu alam.
Initials A.H. Singapore. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. What is the ruling of an animal, example a cat, passing from a person during Salah? Should one prevent the animal from passing?
Question is from Singapore. If a cat tries to walk in front of you, try to stop the cat without destroying your khushur. Try your best to prevent the cat from passing in front of you. If the cat passes in front of you, then inshallah ta'ala the prayer will not be broken. The prayer will still be valid. It will not be broken, inshallah ta'ala. But if you can stop the cat, stop the cat. If it's going to be a major distraction, the cat is very swift and fast and nimble and small. Hopefully the cat does not take the ruling as a grown person. Even though the hadith says, do not allow anyone to pass in front of you. Wallahu alam.
Initials F.I. London, UK. How bad is debt? Is it a major sin? Will it cause definite punishment in the grave?
Debt. One thing that causes debt to be so bad, as the Prophet ﷺ says, a man will make a promise and he'll break that promise. I will pay you back next week, next month, inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. And you make promises, and you can't keep them. Everyone understand this? Or debt could come from greed. Not necessarily, but it could come from greed, in which you didn't need to buy this, and especially talking about credit cards. There's no reason why you spend $100 on this and you can get the one that costs $50, except because you have greed and you mismanage money and you look towards the worldly life, that which you do not need. You don't need that. It's no need to be in what? To be in debt. So if debt is based off of these negative elements, then of course it's really bad. But if it's just based off of haja, listen, I'm doing a little rough. Can you what? Can you hook me up? Rent is what? It's late. Everyone understand this? Things like this. That's a different story, okay? That's a different story. But if it's based off of those other things, then of course it's a problem. As far as is debt a means of punishment in the grave, I don't know of that. I don't know of an authentic hadith that says that you'll be punished in the grave because of debt. There are hadiths that talk about the nafsul mu'min, the soul of the believer, will be held up because of the debt. All right? But it doesn't mean you'll be punished in the grave. Wallahu alam.
And it shows KA love UK. If a teacher gave a 4 to 7-year-old students games that involve dice like Ludo and wasn't sure this is prohibited, how exactly to explain it's prohibited to play games that involve dice to kids?
Tayyib. Issue of dice is a detailed discussion. It's a detailed discussion. Are dice haram in Islam or not? That's a discussion in itself. It's definitely best to avoid any game that includes the usage of dice. You tell the children, give them alternatives. And it depends on the age of the children and the mindset of the children. Do they know about hadith? Do they know about the Prophet of Islam? Do they know what Islam means? Do they know that there is the unseen and there are things that are beyond our understanding? Do they know that we follow things based off of faith and everything doesn't have a scientific or tangible explanation? It depends on what tarbiyah the children already have. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
This was MI in the UK. Is using miswak in public considered rude?
No, not at all. Abadan. The opposite. The Prophet ﷺ used the miswak in front of his sahaba. He commanded the people. He ordered the people. That many ahadith about the miswak.
This shows MI in the UK. Are we allowed to use food for beauty, such as face masks and hair masks?
Food for beauty, such as face masks and hair masks. Inshallah, it's not wasting the food. It's like any other type of medicine. You put garlic in it or honey in it or different things like this. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's being wasted. It's not being wasted as long as it's a need for that medicine. It's not necessarily a waste. But if you have starving people, hungry people, that's a different story. Wallahu alam.
This was MA from Atlanta, Georgia. Is there any hadith that mentions companions upsetting each other and sending them away to see what one says behind his back?
Companions what?
Is there any hadith that mentions companions upsetting each other and sending them away to see what one says behind his back?
La adri. I don't know about that.
Initials RE, Richmond, Virginia. How a sister should spend her single years?
How should a sister spend her single years? Well, if you're looking for marriage, that's a scenario. And if you're not looking for marriage, you've come out of marriage, it's a different scenario. As far as if a person is looking to get married after school, after graduation, after such and such, after such and such, then inshallah ta'ala you have to invest. Because when you get married, you're going to become busy at best, let alone crippled. You can't go here, you can't do this, you can't read this, you can't. But at best, you're going to be busy. You're going to have a man in your life, someone that is going to demand from you your time, your mind, your soul, and your body. Many men today. All three. All what? All three of them. Okay? Pregnancy, children, breastfeeding. All right? Mother-in-law, father-in-law, etc. Stepchildren, or whatever the situation is. So, if you want to get knowledge of Islam, do it while you're still free. You're getting married, inshallah, in 2 years. Make it your goal to memorize the Quran in 2 years. Or half of it. Or at least juz amma. Learn Arabic. Go overseas. Do what you can while you still can. Right? If you want to work up and save money, do that. Because once you get married, you're going to be busy. You're going to be busy. So invest in that time. And inshallah ta'ala, I would say focus on improving yourself and enhancing yourself. And inshallah, your knight in shining armor will what? will find you. Prince Charming, Abdullah will what? Will find you if you work on yourself as a Muslimah. Just make sure that you're doing what's correct. You're learning your salah. You're learning your. Make sure you're practicing Islam correctly. The brother, what? They'll find you instead of you having to what? Look for them. Wallahu alam.
This shows TA, London, UK. Yeah, Sheikh. I want to be a student of knowledge, but I'm finding it hard to overcome my desires such as pornography, watching useless YouTube videos, waiting for tahajjud. What should I do?
You want to be a student of knowledge, but it's difficult to fight your inner demons. Watching things that are haram online, so on and so forth. If you fall 7 times, get up 8 times. Keep struggling, keep fighting. Don't give up, don't quit. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهِدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. You got to work. وَجَاهِدُوا, fighting Allah's cause. What? حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ. Give it your all. Fight. You can't give up. You can't give in. If you've fallen down, you're scarred, you're wounded, you feel weak, you feel addicted, keep fighting. Don't give up. Don't quit. And the moment shaitan takes away from you your warrior mindset and that you become soft and scared and defeated, it's over. Forget being a student of knowledge. How can you be a Muslim if you're not willing to fight and try? But at the same time, you have to get help. You have to get the proper therapy. You have to get the proper healing and everything you can't necessarily do by yourself. So my advice is to get the professional help Islamically and the secular help, which is in accordance to al-Islam. And with this point here, بهذه المناسبة, beware. People have certain addictions to alcohol, to drugs, or to internet pornography, whatever they have addictions to. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Many sites and many outlets of therapy, be careful, they're connected to Christian missionaries. They're connected. Most of them, not all of them, I don't know, but most of them, they're what? Hand in hand. And they're helping you, giving you therapy, offering you help through Jesus and the good book. Be careful as a Muslim. Of course, we believe in Isa, Jesus, and we also believe in the good book, the Injil that was given to Jesus, given to Isa, but we don't necessarily believe in the divinity of Jesus, nor do we believe that the book that the men put together, took apart, played around with, scrambled and mixed up is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So be mindful of that indoctrination through therapy. Everyone understand this? Be mindful of that. And this goes to show you the power of spirituality and the power of religion. And it also goes to show you that the Muslims are in need of professionals. The Muslims need professional therapists, professional doctors, professional psychologists, professional people to help the Muslims who are suffering from these problems. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum. If a person makes wudu with his socks on and then takes his socks off, does he have to make wudu again, even though he was in a state of wudu when he first put them on earlier?
Taking off the socks does not break the wudu. Your wudu is not broken if you take your socks or your shoes off or whatever that you've wiped upon or placed on after you've washed your feet. Taking off the sock or the khuf or the shoe or the boot does not break wudu. Wudu is only broken by clear text from Quran and Sunnah. Clear text from Quran and Sunnah, then wudu is broken. Wallahu alam.
Initials Milan UK. If you make dua that Allah makes someone die and then the person dies, have you committed a sin?
Making dua against a person for death and that person dies, have you made a sin? First and foremost, the person only died by Allah's qadr. It was meant for that person to die. Whether you made dua or not, nothing happens unless it is the will of Allah. That's first and foremost. Number 2, why are you making dua against someone with death? Are they a wrongdoer, an oppressor, a tyrant? Are they Muslim, non-Muslim, etc.? It is impermissible to abuse dua and to make dua bil ithim, sin. It's haram in al-Islam. Wallahu alam.
Initials FA East Learners Welcome. You said 2 ajza or more from Talib al-Ilm. How should the very beginner knowledge that's only focusing on Hifz and Arabic read daily of the books of Sunnah?
24 hours out of the day. What are you doing in 24 hours? You know how long 24 hours is? How long do you sleep? How long do you eat? How many times you eat? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, this website, shopping. What do you do with your day? You can't read Sahih Bukhari for 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day? With Quran, with Hadith, with this, with this. Even if you work full time, you can pull out a pocketbook. You can put on an iPad mini. You can read it really quick. Nothing is going to stop you from picking up the book of hadith and reading it for 10 minutes a day. Me reading this atlas. All the different responsibilities, problems, this I have. But I still what? Instead of me just sitting here doing what? Nothing. There's no excuse. If you manage your time properly, 24 hours is a very long time. Each grain of sand. Let's just sit here and let's just wait for a minute. See how long a minute takes. No, I'm serious. Count. Look how long 60 seconds is. Done? You see my point? 24 hours is a what? Very long period of time. 24 hours. Not 24 minutes. 24 hours. So you manage your time properly, inshallah. Next question.
And it shows MQ Reading UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Short tips on how you would get concepts stuck into your head when reading a book or when learning certain tajweed rules, rereading, writing notes versus raw memorization.
Don't focus on it. Short tips for getting something stuck into your head. Stop thinking about it. Just read. Let it flow naturally. As far as if you're trying to repeat something, different story. You're trying to memorize something here, different story. But just free reading, don't what? Don't even think about it. So right now I'm looking at this map. I'm not trying to memorize. I'm just familiarizing myself with it. And then later on, comes, inshallah. But you got to believe in the technique. You got to empty your cup and try it out. Because it sounds mystical, right? What do you mean don't focus on it? What do you mean don't think about it? That doesn't make any sense. What type of mystic stuff are you saying? Just what? Try it out. Some brothers to this day, all the years I've known them, they still haven't emptied their cups. Still overflowing, kegs and barrels. Allahumma musta'an. May Allah help us all. Ameen.
What is the ruling and ratio of using ruqya of Quran to treat physical ailment, since there are many hadith regarding treating with physical medicine?
There's no contradiction. Ruqya and physical medicine go like peanut butter and jelly. There's no contradiction. I go to the doctors and I make dua. I take the medicine and I make dua. I know that Allah is the one who cures. He's the one who has decreed the sickness upon me. And He's the one who has commanded me to try my best. He's the one who's commanded me to be a warrior in His cause. He's the one who has commanded me to eat from the good, lawful things. There's no contradiction. Ruqya, medicine, hand in hand. If you don't want to go to the doctors and you want to suffice yourself to ruqya, alhamdulillah. There's no contradiction. There's no contradiction. They go hand in hand. Allahu alam.
Mitchell AB, New York, New York. Put bad deeds first or start good deeds first?
Like the previous answer, do both. Do both. Doing the good deeds helps you stop doing the bad deeds. Make yourself limited time. I do want to go to the bar and drink, but I have an appointment at the masjid. I have a Quran class at the masjid. I haven't given up the desire for alcohol. I still want it. I still can do it, but I've smoked out my free time. And if you keep doing it, keep busying yourself, eventually you can what? And you grow strong enough to just totally step on it and get rid of it. Do both, inshallah. Good deeds. And al-hasanati, yudhibun as-sayyi'at. Good deeds erase bad deeds. Huh? Wallahu alam.
Initial ZD, Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Advice to a brother seriously considering marrying a sister working as an artist, drawer, or photographer.
If you have a problem with it now, don't marry the sister. If she's drawing things that are living, it's haram, it's tasweer, don't marry the sister. Don't marry the sister and say, I'm going to give her advice, she's going to change. Do not play yourself. Stay away from the sister. If the sister realizes that drawing these living images are haram, and she's willing to give it up for Allah's sake, listen to my words, for the sake of Allah, through your advice, I'm leaving it off for Allah's sake, but you brought it to me, and she wants to marry you, alhamdulillah. If not, don't marry her, because it's only going to turn into a fight and an argument later on. You're going to keep saying, leave it alone. She says, well, you married me like this. You knew I was an artist. You knew I was a calligrapher. You knew I was an illustrator. You married me. You talked to how pretty I was and this and that. Now you want to say, get rid of haram, 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 divorce. There's going to be problems later on. Marry someone that's like you. Marry someone that sees, that has your level of practice of the deen. Wallahu alam.
Initial JD, Buffalo, New York. Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling of marrying an unchaste Ahl Kitab woman? Is the marriage invalid?
You can't marry her unless she's chaste. If she's unchaste, make repentance. Make tawbah. Once she makes tawbah, then what? Inshallah, you marry her. Until then, don't marry her. If you've married a woman that's unchaste from Ahl Kitab, you have disobeyed Allah Azza wa Jalla and His Messenger. You've disobeyed Allah and His Messenger. What's important is try your best to marry a Muslim woman. Don't marry a woman from Ahl Kitab in 2020. I wouldn't advise with that. Except for certain situations here and there. Someone's close to Islam, a woman that comes from a strong, old-fashioned household. Old-fashioned. And where she was raised and brought up being a housewife, a homemaker. As far as most people today in 2020, equal rights, women are superior, this and that, church and the mosque and the synagogue, you're asking for a disaster. Asking for a disaster. Wallahu alam.
Initial AM, initial J2, Baltimore, Maryland. Prostration of forgetfulness behind the Imam.
What about it? Prostration of forgiveness behind the Imam. We have a playlist on this. Please go back to that playlist. Inshallah, you'll find the classes on it. If you have a specific question about it, we'll try our best to answer it with the limited knowledge that we have. Wallahu alam.
Initial MA, Atlanta, Georgia. Where can we find the details on the sins that are not forgiven by Allah?
Where can we find a detail or details on the sins that are not forgiven by Allah? Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi. Wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. Allah doesn't forgive shirk. And He forgives anything besides that if that is His will. Please go back to the explanation of Al-Kaba'ir. It's over 90 parts, explanation of the major sins in Al-Islam of Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. And perhaps you'll find a discussion of that. Wallahu alam.
Initial SMMUK. Can and should the leader of Muslims force women to wear hijab in a Muslim country?
Leader of Muslims, can he force Muslim women to wear hijab? He can't convince their hearts, but he can mandate laws that forbid tabarruj and sufur. You don't have to like hijab. You may dislike it, you may hate it. But outside, this is the dress code. Just like the United States. I want to walk around naked. Why can't I walk around in my birthday suit? What's the problem? Clothes are unnatural. Socks and shoes are what? They're unnatural. They restrict the body. They cause disease. They keep you from air circulation and keep your skin from getting the sunlight. I want to be a nudist. My body is beautiful. Let the what? Let the world see it. Many people have this what? This mindset. But only certain beaches and certain countries in which they're allowed to do that. And you walk down the street, police officer, someone, they see you being naked, you will what? You'll get fined or arrested or whatever case, because it's against the law. Convincing them is a different story. But the outward law, no nudity. So therefore, hijab is mandated by Allah and His Messenger. And the Muslim ruler is responsible for enforcing the rules of Allah and His Messenger. Wallahu alam.
Initial MQ reading UK. How long should a student of knowledge go to sleep?
How long should a student of knowledge go to sleep? Wallahi, it's hard to answer that question. It depends on the student of knowledge. Try your best, wallahu alam, to progressively wean yourself off of excessive sleep. Wean. Don't go all overnight. You may hurt your body, you may hurt your mind, you may quit, shaitan may attack you. But gradually, every week, every 2 weeks, shave off half an hour. I used to sleep 8 hours and a nap and a snooze on a train or this and that. Now you do what? You get rid of that snooze. Whether that's walking in the cold air, getting fresh air, ginseng, honey, tea, coffee, whatever. Then you go from 8 hours to what? 7.5. 7.5, next month you go to 7. Gradually wean yourself. And inshallah ta'ala, as long as you have enough strength, enough energy, right, to maintain your daily responsibilities, keep minimizing your sleep. If you only need 4 hours, that's all you need. If you only need 3, that's what? But don't hurt yourself and don't harm yourself, because everyone is different. Like food. You may say this is zuhud to eat a bowl of rice this small. And anything other than that is israf, extravagance. Maybe for your belly. But for another brother's belly, he need what? I need a rack of lamb. I understand this? A big plate of rice. My body is different than your body. Everyone is different. All right? Everyone's different. Last but not least is if you have 7 days out of the week, try your best to have at least one day in which you may, let's say, stay up methanoid or at nighttime. Switch it up. Do extra. You know what I'm saying? It's on Friday, I only sleep for such and such amount of hours. And the rest of the week is normal. Wallahu alam.
This was SM, UK. What is your favorite translation of the Quran?
Favorite translation of the Quran? I would have to say, and the question was favorite, not most accurate, or most authentic, or correct aqid, etc. I'll say Marmaduke Pickthall. If I said favorite. And the question was not about the most what? Authentic, or the most this, but he said favorite. And I say this for nostalgic reasons. Being a young Muslim, growing up in the masjid, that was the translation of the Quran that you had. Wallahu alam.
This was MI Birmingham K. Assalamu alaikum. What's the ruling on dressing in front of a pet?
Getting dressed in front of a pet. Shyness is from Iman, the Prophet tells us. Shyness doesn't come except with good. La ya'ti, illa bi khair. It only brings goodness. So if the cat is around you, using the bathroom, taking a shower, washing up, whatever, a parrot, whatever, go screen yourself. You can't lose by being what? Shy. You can't lose through bashfulness. It's nothing but good. The Prophet tells us it only brings what? Good. Wallahu alam.
Question UK. Assalamu alaikum. I think this is a no-brainer, but brothers need to hear this from you, inshallah. For those who want to remarry, must they let the sister know
What do you mean, let the sister know?
that they are already married?
طيب خيرا inshallah. So we got a loaded question, huh? A full cup. Unfortunately. Ala kullin, at the end of the day, my humble opinion is I think polygamy is pretty simple and easy. And I think we as Muslims choose to make it difficult and complicated. I think we overcomplicate things. All right? Let's just look at non-Muslims who practice polygamy. Whether it's the Mormons or the Amish or other societies, races, and cultures as well. But I'm talking about the United States, all right? North America. So in Lancaster, PA, and I'm sure maybe upstate New York, you have Amish. And Utah, in this country, you have Mormons, right? So the other Christians, the other types of Christians and the denominations, the modern people, the atheists, etc., etc., etc. They may make fun of them. It's stupid. You people are backwards. You're barbaric. How can a man have 50 wives? You marry your half-sister, etc., etc., and what? Etc. They talk about it. They try to discredit it. They make documentaries against it, etc. But they all unanimously agree that that person is Amish. They're Amish. That's their culture. That's their religion. And that is their way. Mormons are Mormons. And they don't confuse the fact. They're Mormons. That they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Whether we think it's nonsense, devil worship or not. But they're what? They're Mormons. That's their way. So look at the verse. Lakum dinukum waliya din. We want to compromise. We want to bend and twist and water down and shave down and appease and please people. Instead of just saying, this is a Mormon, this is a Protestant. It's not supposed to, the Protestant not supposed to agree with what the Mormon does, and vice versa. So I think one of the greatest attacks on polygamy is the pleasure of non-Muslims and their consent and their acceptance of it. It is what it is. It's just that simple. Not the first wife knows, second wife, this one, that one. If everyone just accepted it in the Quran, in the Sunnah, things would be easier. A brother wouldn't have to do this and say this. A sister wouldn't have to do this and say that. Because they're what? Muslims, just like they're Mormons. So I think that's the core issue. The ruling. Do you have to tell the first one? No, you don't. Yes, you do. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. Everyone understand this? You have to give this one this mahar. You have to. It's not going to what? It's not going to change anything until you get to the heart of the problem. And that is, are you afraid and are you scared of your identity as a Muslim? Because those Amish people, wallahi, when we see them, when they come to the city, or when we go to them for apple pies or milk or potatoes or whatever, do you see them hiding? and cowering. Do you see them scared and afraid? They don't care if you laugh at their beards and their shaving mustaches. They don't care. They don't care what you think about them. They're practicing their Amish religion, their Amish culture. The Mormons, they believe that they're upon the truth and they have pride in their Mormon religion. Why are the Muslims so weak, scared, and afraid? What's the sin? You have another wife. What's the sin? What's the problem? Is he making zina? What's the problem? Are you not getting your rights? What's the mushkila? Everyone has jealousy. You can be the sole wife for 50 years and still be what? Jealous. What's the problem? Why overcomplicate things? Wallahu alam. Fadda.
Is cremation permissible?
A Muslim's body is not to be cremated. Do they feel it? Allahu alam. I've never died. I don't know. I've never been cremated. Do they feel it? Maybe. Only Allah knows what He has placed in this body, in the ruh. Who knows? But the Muslim, breaking a Muslim's bone that's dead is like breaking the bone of a what? Kakesrihi hayyan, the hadith says. Like breaking a living bone. So the Muslim's body is sacred. Sacred.
The hadith mentions the man who freed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much that he had his
Clear. Okay?
explain that a little.
We did. Go back to the khutbah. I think it's cold cell. Last winter. Yeah. That's a major sin to cremate the body. He also doubted Allah's power. Allah says, why did you do it? He says, khashyatuka ya Rabb wa anta a'lamu. Because I was afraid, but you really know what's best. So he still was afraid of Allah. He was scared of Allah. He was intimidated in front of Allah. And he knew that he did wrong. Right? Allah forgave him. It doesn't mean that what he did was permissible. So cremation is still haram, but the man was fearful of Allah and Allah forgave him. And this hadith is tremendous and showing you never, ever lose hope. Don't give up. And Allah surely knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.